Charlie said mockingly, "It seems that you really don't understand. This in your hand is used by a dead person to plug the drain hole, which is the cylinder door. You even wear it on your neck. Don't you feel smelly?" Stephen couldn't speak anymore, staring at the jade gourd in his hand. Suddenly a strong feeling of nausea surged. This jade gourd was actually stuffed in that place. And I actually took it as a mascot and hung it around my neck for 3 years. The most d*mn thing is that because I like this thing so much, I often play with it in my mouth. Doesn't this mean that I indirectly ate the ancient's filth? Vomit. Stephen couldn't help it anymore, bending down and retching. The crowd, who were still scrambling to watch, now cast a mocking look at him. Some even gloated at the misfortune, mocking Stephen for being blind, and spending a lot of money to buy such a bad thing. Charlie said coldly, "Also, this jade piece has been soaked in corpse chi for a long time, and it has sucked enough fierce aura. If you continue to wear it, you will surely die within a year." As soon as he finished his words, the crowd around Stephen immediately hauled back, for fear of being contaminated by the ferocity on his body. Urban Jones, who was standing beside Stephen, also ran to the very edge. Although he is a half bucket of water, and he usually does nothing but deceives, but he has also dealt with the thief fighting master, knowing that Charlie's words are not groundless. Stephen was also frightened and looked up at Charlie in a daze. Charlie's face was cold, and he snorted, "Are you going to have a bad time this year? Have you had a bloody disaster like a car accident or something?" Stephen stared at Charlie blankly, completely stunned. He did have a bad fortune this year, and he had just had a car accident at the beginning of the year. If it hadn't been for the crash-resistant Hummer that day, he would have given his life a long time ago. However, the driver who drove was killed on the spot. He broke 2 ribs and spent half a month in the hospital before returning home. Stephen burst into a cold sweat, pulled the jade piece off his neck, waved, and threw it far away. The crowd backed away quickly, for fear of causing trouble to the upper body. Seeing Stephen's guilty conscience, Charlie sneered in his heart. If he hadn't reminded him today, if Stephen continued to wear it, he would definitely die this year. "Who are you?" Stephen gritted his teeth and glared at Charlie. "This person knows too much. Is it someone sent by the enemy?" "I am someone you can't afford," Charlie said coldly, turning around and leaving. When Stephen saw that the other party was about to leave, he thought Charlie wanted to escape, and immediately roared, "Catch him for me. Dare to find my fault. There must be someone behind this kid. Can't afford to provoke? Haha, in Orus Hill City, there is no one I can't afford to provoke. Catch him, break his leg, and ask who it is that dares to trouble my Chin family." He believed that Charlie was the person sent by his business rival. Otherwise, how could he know exactly what happened to him in the car accident? Several bodyguards acted immediately and rushed to stand in front of Charlie. The other 2 bodyguards strode to Jacob's face, and violently reached out their hands and grabbed them. Jacob was so frightened, he didn't expect to get into this kind of disaster when he went out to buy an antique. Just when the bodyguard was about to catch Jacob, Charlie's eyes were cold, and he kicked a brawny man in front of him with 1 foot, rushed to Jacob in 3 or 2 steps, and hit the bodyguard in the face with 1 punch. Bang! The bodyguard was about to grab Jacob and was hit by a punch in the front. He suddenly spurted his nose and backed away, covering his face. The other bodyguard saw Charlie start his hand, quickly took out the electric baton, and called Charlie fiercely. "Ah!" Jacob yelled in fright, "Charlie, get away." Before he finished speaking, Charlie shook his body agilely, avoided a stick that flew over, clasped the bodyguard's left wrist with his backhand, and tried hard. Boom! Before the bodyguard with the electric baton could react, he was thrown to the ground by one over his shoulder, grinning in pain, and could not get up for a long time. Jacob was speechless, almost didn't recognize that the young man standing in front of him was his son-in-law. Why is his skill so good? Charlie bent down, picked up the electric baton on the ground, squeezed it in his hand, and said, "Who else? Let's go with the rest." The crowd watched silently, their eyes all fixed on Charlie. Irvin Jones was also dumbfounded, staring at Charlie, and murmured, "Brother, amazing." He was fortunate that he didn't make Charlie angry just now, otherwise, this one fell off his shoulders and his bones would fall apart. Jacob returned to his senses and asked in shock behind Charlie, "Charlie, where did you learn this skill?" Charlie smiled and said, "Dad, when I first went to work, I was bored at home watching TV. Isn't there a show on the Ring every morning on TV? I learned all of it from TV." In fact, Charlie practiced Wing Chun since he was a child, and it is the most authentic Wing Chun. After all, this man is the descendant of the Wade family branch. However, in order to hide his identity, he naturally cannot tell the old master.